Tonight, I install a battery, I play with a throttle cable, and a fuel tank comes out of the car. This is a 1966 Volkswagen Fastback. As you can see, it's a little dirtier than we would hope for, but I can show you the top. Under the bonnet here, we have a flat, dual carbureted 1600cc engine. Now, it might be missing some pieces, and it is, but the thing about it is, it's mostly here. And coming here into the driver's seat, of course, being in America, this being a left-hand drive, we see that there's some things not quite present. For example, the horn, it's broken. These dials, I don't know if they work. And coming around to the front here, although I will admit, the lighting is not ideal, but if we lift up the bonnet, we can see that under here we have a very well-sized boot interior with a spare wheel, as well as the gas tank, because that's just how they did it back when these things came out. What you're getting for your money from this offering from Volkswagen is around about 40 brake horsepower. Although after all these years, it's probably down to about 6. Now, the Fastback was first introduced in the United States in 1966, so this is the first year model. You may have noticed some squareback variants, which were a little bit more popular, and for good reason. You see, the looks of this thing suggest that it's going to be a zippy little number, but in fact, it's bloody slow. So in the next 10 to 15 or so minutes, we're going to be going over this car and getting it roadworthy, just like that truck that passed by. Now, to keep it clear, I am by no means an expert in mechanical things. In fact, some people have described me as a bit of an ape. However, I think I stand a good chance of getting this working. So come along and let's see if we can get this started on this edition of Will It Run? Hey, so just to preface all of that, I was not kidding. I don't really know what I'm doing on these, and I have a 72 Volkswagen Bug, which is similar. I guess everything's spread out flat here rather than vertical and a bit cramped, but we're going to see how I get along with getting this vehicle working and what it needs doing to it. So far, I have done absolutely nothing. I don't know exactly what the problems are. It seems like the handbrake might not work. It seems like the engine turns, but that's about it. And I probably have a whole bunch of electrical contacts which I need to clean. So we're going to get into this and try and fire up what I've been introduced to as Daisy the Fastback. Okay, I put the bad gasoline in this one here, filled it up with about 2 gallons of good stuff, and all looks good so far. So now I'm gonna get the car up on jack stands at the back, and we're gonna see why the transmission is doing this. Because the clutch is not depressed yet. Yeah, that doesn't seem good. So we're gonna check underneath and see if that's disconnected for some reason. All right, I've got this jacked up. One stand there, one stand there. So I just got access, I don't really know what it is, but the linkage cover plate. So let's see how that looks. All right, we took the air handler off and we can see here that these are really gummed up. And it's the same story on this side. This one, maybe a little bit better. You can see it's kind of doing its thing there, but not really. So, what we need to do, we've just ascertained that it does have spark, but it's kind of weak and orange. So I don't know if it's something to do with this. I don't know if it's something to do with the 6-volt system, but we do not have spark. So more troubleshooting to do, and we are going to resume on a different day. All right, I put some fuel in the carburetors, so we're going to give it a crank, and we're going to probably come out and see if just holding this down is going to get it to go. All right. Oh shit, go on. All right, second attempt. Lights are on. Let's crank that. Come on, she wants to go. She's rough, but she's alive. Let's work on the fuel system next. Okay, so what I'm hoping to see now this is hooked up is that the fuel pump is going to get some stuff drawn into it. So let's crank the car and see if it does it. So we just took out the fuel pump. Nothing looks wrong here until I don't even want to know what that is. So we're going to get that cleaned up and then see if this thing can start drawing fuel, because that looks pretty gunky. So a little bit better. We took this panel off and there was a bunch of gunk in with the spring. So now we actually have some kind of movement. We're going to install that and then try cranking it again and see what happens. All right, this is the next phase. I took the fuel pump out once again because I don't know if this is actually faulty, so I'm going to do a little bit more of an investigation on here. Worst case, I can pick up another one to slap in there. But I took both the carburetors out because, well, I mean, that one's a bit better. This one is disgusting. So we're going to take apart this one first and basically see what we can get cleaned off with our happy little carb choke parts cleaner. Yay. So we're going to start with this one. Just in taking this off, these don't look too bad, so it might just be that I just need to give this mechanism a clean because it is pretty icky, but this seal doesn't look bad. I mean, I'm no expert, but this all looks pretty clean from what I can tell, so I'm not unhappy with what I'm encountering on this one. Update on the fuel pump. So we took this out again, gave it another little clean, and we can now hear this awful noise. But that means that this is kind of working, so I'm gonna do a little bit more cleaning and try and get it as good as we can, and then we'll fit that back on the car once we've got these both clean, because might as well see if the old part works. If not, we can always slap a new one on there. So for now, I'm pretty much done with the fuel pump. Okay, well, I've gone through both of these. This one, the seal has a little tear in it, so I need to replace that eventually, but right now we should be good to install it, just at least to get the thing running. And this is a much happier fuel pump. So we're going to go back tomorrow, install those, and see if we get anything in addition, although probably not. In all my efforts to try and get the battery to perform, I have had to pick up this 4 amp instead of the 1.5 amp like preserver retainer thing. So this is actually going to give it some juice. It was kind of around 5.9 volts, so already this is a lot more promising than what we had before. So hopefully this gives it the cranks to do what it should do best. So this is the fuel line piece, and I've got a feeling that this may well be the culprit in the line. Hope I'm wrong, but if it isn't, we can get this out and see is it that? This might have unblocked it. All right, I am going to be removing the fuel tank because my assumption is now that there's some kind of blockage inside. So we're going to get rid of this thing. Pop that out. Put that carefully to one side. This is actually in surprisingly decent shape. All right, and here is the fuel tank. So we've got one bolt here, one there, one here. So we'll disconnect all this stuff, and yeah, we'll be good to get this thing on its way out, and then we can pull the rest in here and see what's going on inside. Okay, after that bloody hurt, I hit my head on this corner, so that's quite hard. We can see there's kind of nothing to talk about here. It's a bunch of stuff, and we don't care about it right now. So what we're going to do is head on out to the tank itself, and we're going to get the rest of that fuel drained out and see if we've got the blockage in here. Doesn't look great, does it? You're right, it's taken us a little while, but I think we know what the problem is now. So yeah, that don't look so great. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. It was this piece. So we're gonna clear that out. Okay, fuel tank is back in place. We just need to tighten 1, 2, 3, and 4 bolts to get that down. The hose is back in, things on, and then we're just gonna need to hop under here and connect everything up there and all down the back. So let's get on this. Hell yeah! It's a terrible idol. Alright, we're gonna need some adjustment. She's doing what she does best, I think. Alright, we're gonna do something dumb. We're gonna try and get this a little bit this way. That's it. Alright, let's see if we can do it. It's idling.